I'll do some Azure.
G'day everybody, g'day. Alrighty, I'm just going to do a quick sound check, make sure that I can hear myself and that we can hear you. Can I get one of you guys to rabbit on it for a bit, please?
I can say hello, Michael is awesome, something like that. Is that what you want? I can say hello, Michael is.
Yeah, that works. That just came
Okay.
through, I think. Okay, cool.
Yeah, loud and clear, Michael.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Did you want factual stuff or?
Oh. And I was complimenting this guy 10 minutes ago.
I can't help myself. It's always the not compliment sandwich. Insults on either side of a compliment.
Right, so alrighty. Even though cool. Alright, just want to make sure everything else is good. Okay, we do have some people in stream, so g'day. If you are watching on Twitch, just feel free to throw your questions in chat and I will pass them on to Josh. Alrighty. Cool. Yeah, that's actually one thing I got really excited about was the dictation feature for Windows being baked into Windows. I think it was natively in Windows 10, but I knew that. But then I just found it in Windows 11 after watching that YouTube video, and I thought, I wish I had that when I was writing the chapter. Having to start Word, boop, boop, and then it's like talk, and then, oops, I made a mistake, boop, boop, and then have to kind of go back, and then it didn't work, and oh my gosh, yeah, and it was so tedious. I was going to say, so how's life at Chocolatey now?
Good. Working all sorts of odd hours, but the work's interesting and the team's great. So yeah, making it work.
That's so good. The old Choco guys. I know where I'm at now.
The time zones, because I know you've got a few people in. Well, I know there's a few people in the UK, and then a few people sort of mid-US. New Zealand's not very favourable to any of them, really.
No. So my first couple of months, I was matching the UK time, so I would effectively be working now through till 5 a.m.-ish. And I've just swapped to more US time, so I'm starting at 5 a.m., 5 a.m.-ish.
Yeah, I usually start around 4:30 to match up with some West Coast people, which isn't fun, but you get used to it.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Jordan, when you have kids, you'll be very well suited for morning feedings.
Kids, I can't sort of turn off at the end of the day.
Oh, they eventually do turn. They do eventually go to sleep. They do. And then you have the bliss of your sleep. And that's time to sleep. But then you're up at 5 o'clock and you got Bubba in the arm and give him a quick feed, give him a quick feed, and good to go. All right, we'll wait for a couple of more minutes before we get started.
Yeah, we can jump into the news if you want to, like like at 5 past or something if you want to, because we've got a little bit before the actual talk, and if people miss the news, it's not going to kill them.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, no. Whoops. Sorry, I'm spotlighting myself, and then we can kind of get started. Sorry, I'm just gonna stop spotlighting. Okay. We'll just I'll quickly. Actually, Wayne or Alex, are you able to throw up the slide deck?
Yeah, I actually should have anticipated you asking for this.
Yeah, I was going to go check dinner, so I'll go for a second out.
No,
yeah, I'll do it. That's cool. I always forget that you want me to do this, and I close it before the meeting. Just give me a second.
Oh my gosh, my computer's getting absolutely nailed. Resonair, is my audio okay now? I might need to open up Hyper-V and stop some VMs. Oh, excuse me. I think my VMs are killing me. No, all my VMs are turned off. Okay. My OBS is really struggling at the moment. This is a first. It could be the fact that it is Windows 11. Just gonna have a quick look, see if something's getting pegged. Soundtrack switches. I was going to kill everything. I'll wait for that. Resonator, how's my audio now?
Yep, your audio's fine to me.
Okay. Oh, this is on Twitch. Oh. Okay, cool. Yep, sounds good. Perfect. Thank you, Resonator. I can restart. I can shut down code. Perfect. Let's do that. That might. Okay, cool. All right. That might stop Docker. I'll just quickly stop Docker. I don't think it's going to do anything. Just quick close everything down. Hopefully you can get some performance back.
Curious, do you use Windows containers or Linux containers with Docker on Windows?
Linux.
Why not have both?
Linux. When I get my new laptop, I've committed myself to running Linux. I'm going to actually go and teach myself Linux, and I'm going to force myself to do it. I've also like the other day, my brother hit me up and he's like, "Hey, do you know much about Arduinos?" And I'm like, "No." And then I literally spent an afternoon on it, and then I thought, "This is the most amazing piece of technology ever." I love this piece of technology. And then I'm sitting here going,
to the game with Arduinos. So what version of Linux are you going to run?
I have no idea yet. Something that can support the framework laptop, which I think I had a quick look. There's a whole bunch of different distros. I think Mint supports this framework, so I'm probably just going to get something like that.
Any of the big ones will support framework. So Fedora, Ubuntu, Mint, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think framework laptop is not launched in Australia yet.
Not yet. That's the reason why I'm waiting.
Because I've reached out to them on Twitter, and I've asked them if they have any ETA for Australia. So they said that they would let me know.
Yeah.
But right now, nothing.
That's the thing, is that I'm not prepared yet to throw down money for a laptop. If I'm like, if framework's going to bring a laptop out and start shipping to Australia within the next year, well then, well, that's great. I'm happy to wait. So anyway, all right. Actually, I think it's Microsoft Teams that's killing it. That's all right.
Are you really surprised?
No.
Hopefully my screen share is working.
Yep, screen share is working. Looks good.
Sweet. All right, shall we kick off?
Yep, let's kick off. So thank you everybody for joining us. Welcome to October 2021's Brisbane Infrastructure and User Group Meetup. So we're proudly sponsored by Hudson and Script Runner. So Hudson, amazing. They've been, before COVID, they've been providing, helping out with the meetup spaces and obviously catering. And then obviously, Script Runner's been recently brought on, but they've also been doing a solid job with helping out with paying the meetup costs, which is amazing. Will we be having a physical meetup this year? Stay tuned. Let's go next slide. Let's do the news. So, actually, Wayne, do you want to take this one up?
Yeah, I'll do the Azure news. I love me some Azure.
Yeah, get some about Azure.
So yeah, Visual Studio Code for the web is now available. If you haven't had a chance to try that out, you can literally run Visual Studio Code in your browser. It doesn't work for some things, things that require some sort of executable to run in the background, but it is there if you need it, and you can sort of upgrade into GitHub code spaces if you do need additional functionality. So yeah, it's worth checking out. I've ran Visual Studio Code now on my iPad, which is awesome, in the web, which is cool. Windows 11 is now generally available on Azure Virtual Desktop. So if you want to try out Windows 11, you've got some hardware that supports it. Then no, if you want to try out Windows 11, you can try it out in Azure Virtual Desktop. You don't need to have hardware that supports it. Python 3.9 support in Azure Functions is now generally available. And Azure Arc enabled Azure Automation Hybrid Workers is now in public preview. So this is part of that massive Azure Arc push that you're seeing from Microsoft, and this is just another one of those things. So it takes away, it changes the authentication and makes Azure Automation Hybrid Workers more reliable, which is awesome. And Microsoft has been busy releasing new certs. So they got AZ800, AZ801, which are the sort of Windows Server / Azure hybrid certifications. So if you're looking at doing some Windows Server on-prem and some Azure, which so many organizations and companies are. These are the certifications that cover that sort of technology. AZ305 is the new combined Azure Architect certification, and DP420 is a brand new Cosmos database specialty exam. So if you want to be a Cosmos specialist, then you can do DP420. So that's the Azure news.
I was just going to quickly jump in there for a sec,
Yep.
Wayne. With regards to Visual Studio Code in the browser, that probably you could probably actually run VS Code now on an Xbox.
Oh yeah, I haven't tried that actually. Yeah.
I saw someone running at an Edge on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. There you go.
The other thing which I quickly want to talk about with the hybrid runbook workers is, so there's obviously a massive push there now, and there's going to be a lot more exciting features that'll be coming down the pipeline there. So especially around Azure automation. So definitely stay tuned. That's something that I'm super excited about. So stay tuned.
Awesome. I love Azure Automation. It's good to have some news from Azure Automation team, finally. Some AWS news. I'm a little bit out of touch with AWS news, but we managed to get some changes that have happened in AWS, and this is a great one. You can now see all your EC2 instances globally in the one portal. You don't need to switch between regions all over the place to see all your EC2 instances, so this is a good one. Launch configurations are now end of life, and they're being replaced by launch templates. So this doesn't really mean a lot, but if you're using launch configurations in any of your EC2 instances, auto scale and that sort of thing, then you want to replace it with launch templates because they're just stopping development on launch configurations. And there's a new AWS exam for SAP specialty. So that's all that is. And now some other news. Michael, did you want to take some of these ones?
I'll quickly talk about the Red InSync one.
Yep.
So InSync technology, I've kind of extended. I talked about this last month. So InSync technology / Rapid Circle is no longer a sponsor. So they will not be providing any sort of catering or anything there.
Okay, cool. I was wondering, Jordan, I'm calling you out randomly here, but did you want to tell us what Red Hat Summit is if you're around? I actually don't know what this is, but I saw it announced.
Yeah, it's like just like a place where Red Hat announces new products and showcases the various things. There's
just like Red Hat
demos, classes, and like sort of just tech stuff that various companies come together to sort of demonstrate, usually with a focus around Red Hat products itself.
Okay, cool.
I'd imagine there's a lot of Ansible and OpenShift and stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome. There's a couple of Linux. And I'm definitely not a Linux expert here, but there's some new releases coming out for Linux, GNOME Desktop and Fedora Linux. These may be old news for some of the Linux people, but they appear to be fairly new, so I've tried to include them here. Docker Desktop, if you're not familiar, Docker Desktop's pricing is changing. So if you're a large company, if you're a large organization, then you'll be expected to pay for Docker Desktop. But if you're small, you've got to be relatively big to have to pay. It's quite a high threshold. Then you'll have to pay for Docker Desktop moving forward. And Amazon EKS is now available. This actually should have been in the Amazon news. I don't know why it's here, but Amazon EKS, that's my mistake, not yours, Michael. But Amazon EKS is now available on-prem. And what's interesting about this is that you're seeing Amazon and Google and Azure all doing these hybrid push with Kubernetes-enabled workloads. So I think that's a trend from these cloud providers, and I think you're going to see a little bit more of that moving forward. That's it for the other news.
For Ubuntu people, 2204 LTS daily builds have started hitting Ubuntu build servers as well.
Awesome. I just want to make I know there's a lot of text on the screen here, way too much actually, but I did want to make a quick call out for an event that we have coming up in Brisbane, not this Saturday, but the Saturday after. It's about halfway full now, but we're still looking for people. So if you're interested in doing a hackathon using Azure Infrastructure as Code with Bicep and PowerShell desired state configuration. I've sort of collaborated and partnered with Hudson to run this hackathon event. It's about 5 to 6 hours long, and you'll face a series of challenges where you'll have to deploy Azure Bicep, Azure resources with Bicep, and configure virtual machines with desired state configuration. And we're looking for fairly junior people for this sort of hackathon. We're going to let them explore and learn and go do that while they do the hackathon. So we don't want people who come in who can just come in and prove that they already know this stuff. We want people who are going to sort of learn and develop their skills on the day. So we're looking for like really quite entry-level people, or people who have got a little bit of experience with PowerShell, the CLI, or ARM templates, and want to get a little bit more experience. It's in Brisbane on November 6th at Hudson, and if you want more information, you can reach out to Victor Burt at Hudson for more info. I think this thing is in the way here, but there we go. Yep, so that's that. Michael.
Alrighty. Cool. Thank you, Wayne. So next up in November, which is our very last meetup for this year, we're probably going to do a bit of a social gathering. We're still kind of well, honestly, I've kind of procrastinated on what we're going to do in terms of where we're going to actually do it, whether we're going to do it in the city, a bit of talk whether we're going to have it over at my place up the on the north side there. But we're just basically we're just having a bit of an idea what we probably going to do there, and we'll definitely let you guys know within the next couple of weeks of what's going to be happening. So, and I think it's just be more, it's definitely going to be more of a social event. We might bring some games and something like that, and we can just kind of sit around and talk tech and
sounds awesome.
Fun. Yeah.
If anyone's got any preferences to what they might like to see for this sort of thing, then let us know on the Slack channel. Call for speakers for next year. Always looking for new speakers. So if you've got a topic that you'd like to present or talk about, then please put your name forward. You can do a short talk if you want to. We can do lightning talks like we have in the past and get a few people to speak at once on the one night, or you can do a longer talk if you want to deep dive on something. So just hit us up on the Slack channel if you'd like to present next year sometime.
Alrighty, and now I'm going to hand it over to our esteemed speaker, Joshua King. So a little bit about Josh King. He's Microsoft MVP. He works at Chocolatey, as he also runs the AUNZ PowerShell user group, and is an all-round great guy and loves meat pies.
Oh, I won't try and deny that. Cool. Let me know when you can see that.
Looks good.
And I'll try and get Teams to actually show back up for me so I can have some sort of idea what's going on. So this is going to be a bit of an introduction into Chocolatey, the open source command line tool. As Michael said, I do work for Chocolatey, but I'm not going to get into any of the paid features or anything like that tonight. This is all open source stuff. It's all stuff you can do without a license. So about me, Michael's actually already done a good summary, so I won't dwell too long. I started at Chocolatey in May. I'm the infrastructure ops engineer there. So I'm handling all the back-end servers and the fun stuff from my perspective. I'm on Twitter at WindowsNZ, and I've got a blog which is in severe need of a new blog post at toastit.dev. So you might get the theme from my slides and my website and all that my niche is actually toast notifications. And I don't get into it tonight, but it is actually kind of fun to mix Chocolatey and toast together. So I guess the first thing we should cover is what is Chocolatey. So I've already mentioned the bit we're going to be talking about today is the open source tool. And that's a package manager for Windows, effectively. So if you've used Linux, you'll know you can jump in a terminal and say, hey, I want to install X and Y, and it goes off and does it. Chocolatey does that for Windows. I've specifically used the term package manager there as well, because I'm fairly certain this audience can appreciate the nuance between software management and package management. So for most people, package is the same as software, right? You've got, I don't know, Notepad++. You want to install that, so you get the Notepad++ package. But the world of packages is a hell of a lot wider than that. So yes, in many, many, many cases, packages are just software that's being installed. But it could be a zip file that just contains random files and you want them in a certain path on your disk. They could be something that configures system settings, so registry or group policies, anything. And with Chocolatey, effectively, you're just running PowerShell. So if you can do it with PowerShell, you'd be able to do it with a Chocolatey package and just by installing your package. I don't have many slides. The next one's just a couple of useful links. First one there is chocolatey.org/install. That's obviously where you go to learn how to install Chocolatey itself. Then community.chocolatey.org is our community repository, where we host all of the community maintained packages. And I think from memory, we've got about 8,500 unique packages up there at the moment. I should probably have refreshed my tally on that. Then we've got our dedicated docs site. And I specifically call out here, because we touch on it at the end, a doc about hosting your own packages internally. And we'll talk about why that's important when we get there. I do have a GitHub repo where this slide deck will be available and all the commands that I run in the demo. It's not there yet, but I'll give you the link to that. And if you bookmark it, it'll be there in the next day or two. Let's start actually doing some stuff. If I pull that over, and I pull that over. So this is brand new Windows 11 machine, effectively. I've got next to nothing installed on here. Yep. And if I open up, no, I want an admin terminal. If I open up an admin terminal, we'll see that I don't even have Chocolatey installed yet. So first step is we need to install it. Oh, I probably could have at least gone through the first run on Edge. That would have been handy. That's how fresh the VM is.
So at least you know how fresh it is.
Yeah. I specifically took snapshots as I was setting it up so that I could go back to as fresh as possible. Oh, go away. It's very welcoming. So chocolatey.org/install. There's also, if you just go to chocolatey.org, there's an install link up the top right of the screen, but effectively scroll on down and it'll tell you run this command. It does. The instructions on here do mention setting your execution policy, but you'll note that the command does it anyway. So I just copy that, chuck it in my terminal. So what this is doing is downloading a PS1 file that we've got hosted on the site and running that. And it goes off, does its thing, installs the binaries, and it's ready to go. It does warn that you'll likely need to close and reopen your shell. In my testing to prepare for this, I got away without doing that, but just to be safe, because I don't want to prod the demo gods, we'll go and do what it says. Because knowing my luck, you can test it 3 or 4 times, and yeah, then on the day it's going to fail on you. Let me clean up my desktop. I don't want that there for now. Okay, so we've got Choco installed. I can see the version. So Chocolatey CLI, it's the open source tool, the package manager. You interface with it via choco.exe. So you've got Choco, and you've got all the help for it there. And of course, we've got the online version of the docs on our doc site as well. So we've actually got a lot of docs baked in. But of course, docs are all well and good, but we just want to get going and install some software. So you'll notice I'm running Windows PowerShell. Should probably get with the times and install PowerShell 7. PWSH. So I've gone and called Choco, told it I want to install something, and told it I want to install PWSH or PowerShell 7. And we'll have a look at how we discover those in a sec. So because I've just run install and told it what I want, it's gone off, found what I need, and then come back saying, hey, we're about to install this stuff. Are you sure? Because remember, it is effectively PowerShell scripts. So like this is installing one of the dependencies. It's a KB to get things up to date. But effectively, it's just running a PS1 file to do whatever it needs to do. Chances are that it'll be downloading some files and installing them. So I'll just say yes to all, and it'll go off and run through all the dependencies, get to PowerShell core, and nice fast internet, so that downloads nice and quick. You'll notice there, baked in, we know what, or the package maintainer specifies what the hash of the downloaded file is meant to be, and then Chocolatey goes and downloads the file and compares the hash of that file to what it was expecting. It's just one of those things to make sure nothing's been hijacked in the middle over time. That's great for things like this, where you're pulling it off of GitHub, or at least the installer doesn't change. It's not so great for things like Google Chrome, where Google just changes the installer file, but you still get it from the same URL. So if you tried to install an older version of Chrome, it would download the newer installer and then try and compare it to the old. Of course, I highlighted so it didn't keep scrolling. It compares the new file to the old hash and says, no, it doesn't match, and then it fails, which is why the Chrome package updates a lot. So it's finished. We can see it's basically walked through all the dependencies that were needed to get PowerShell core installed, installed all of those, installed PowerShell. So now we've got it available to us. I'm not sure. No, that doesn't pick it up right away. We have PowerShell. So cool, we've got PowerShell. But I personally like to run the preview releases. So previously told it to install PowerShell. Now I'm going to tell it to install the preview version of that. So because I've already got it installed and it uses the same name, I need to tell it actually upgrade PowerShell. And then I use the parameter pre, just to tell it to accept pre-release versions. And then -y, which says just go do, don't confirm that I want to run the scripts. So if I do that, so I can see PowerShell 7.1.5 was installed, and it's going to install preview 9 of 7.2. In theory, there shouldn't be as many or any dependencies this time. It must do. I didn't think about that when I did it. So the question there was, does command history share between Windows PowerShell and PowerShell? And evidently, yes, it does. So one more time, that's been installed. And I will relaunch that. And now we'll see that I have both. So what's happened here is because of how the PowerShell installer works, and its separation between the preview and the GA versions of it, even though I didn't upgrade there as far as Chocolatey is concerned, it actually installed it side by side. So now going forward, if I wanted to update my my preview version of PowerShell, I would use the -- pre version, and if I wanted to upgrade my normal PowerShell, I'd use that. I don't, and I ran out of time to test this. I don't actually know if now I can upgrade my GA version as I would expect to. And when we get close to the end, we'll dive into that a bit because we'll have a easier. In fact, let's just skip ahead and have a look. So Chocolist lets you see packages that are available. I've used -lo, which says local only, so only list the packages on my machine. Okay. Yeah, so I've got PowerShell Core installed now. I can't actually update that, unfortunately. So I guess I'm living the PowerShell preview life now. Now, how do we actually know what's available to us? So if we wanted to stick inside the terminal, and because I don't like the blue, there we go, purple, nice. We can use the Choco, focus back over here. We can use the Choco search command and just give it the term that we want to search for. So I'm using Windows Terminal, let's go with that. And if I search for terminal, it's going to go off to the Chocolatey community repo and try and find all of the packages that match that search term. And there's a lot. So if I remember correctly, that's searching the package ID, name, possibly description, and the tags. Hence why, I have no idea what that is, but obviously somewhere in the metadata it mentions terminal. So let's say that I only actually want to see things with terminal in the ID. I can say by ID only. And it'll go off and do the same search, but this time it'll only show me results for items with terminal actually in the ID. So like Fluent Terminal, Microsoft Windows Terminal. So that's one way of discovering things that are available. In all honesty, what I tend to lean on, if I can spell, is community.chocolatey.org. And yes, the prompt is oh my posh. 6,700, no one good. Yeah. So we're up to 9,000 unique packages. So from the community site, if you click on Find Packages, yep, I haven't been here yet, so I need to accept all the things. This allows you to search for, get the install commands for all the different things that you might want to install. So by default, it sorts by popularity. So obviously, Acrobat Reader's had a couple of downloads.
I want to quickly point out, Adobe Flash has also got a significant number of downloads as well.
Yeah, there it is. The Flash button is. Yep. And weirdly, Chocolatey itself, sitting at 250 million downloads, pales in comparison to Acrobat Reader. So yeah, just scrolling down this, you'll see a lot of things you'd expect to see. Notepad++ is up there, 7-zip, VLC. If we do that same search again, we can look for terminal. And we get those 129 things. And if we say ID : we can do that. Only show me things in the ID. Now, this is a good place to show what the ID actually is. So if we find Windows Terminal. So Windows Terminal is the nice human-readable or human-friendly display name for the package or the software that's going to be installed. The ID is what you put in the install command, and you'll always see that over the right-hand side here, and in the URL if you go to the page for it. So if I click into Windows Terminal, you can see it in the URL, and you can see it there. Also, from this page, you can see the install command is just like we've already seen it. If we scroll down and look at the version history, and I go into one of the older ones, that install command changes to show you the syntax for installing a specific version of the package. So if you needed an older version of, say, Node.js or some other piece of software that you need at a specific version, you can install that specific version. So does Choco need an admin access? For what we're doing today, yes. And you'll notice I've been very particular about starting admin sessions. If you don't, Chocolatey will warn you that you're not running as an admin, and let you choose to continue and hope things go well. That can vary package by package.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because I use Scoop a lot because it goes under the user context. I don't have to keep getting admin prompts up.
So what we do have, and this is one of the business features, is we've got an agent that allows standard user self-service.
Oh, okay. So it kind of just proxies out to an admin and does the install. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, and like I say, that's part of our Chocolatey for Business offer. Where was I? Right. So I did skip ahead a little bit there and show the version. We will get there. What I want to do first, and I'm going to cheat and copy and paste this one because it's a bit long, is so far I've installed software one item at a time. Of course, that can be a bit slow, or rather, can be a bit tedious if you've got a lot of things to install. So, sorry, I'm moving that up so I can see it over my microphone. So you can just supply a list of IDs after Choco install with any flags you want after the list. Excuse me. So here, I'm going to be installing VS Code. I'm going to install the VS Code PowerShell extension, VS Code theme for both icons and the color, and the Markdown linter extension. So if I install all of those, it should tick away for a bit. And then in a moment or two, we'll see the VS Code icon pop up on the desktop. Oh, I saw things budge there for a second. There we go. And we'll just let it install these extensions as well. All the extension packages are doing really is calling. Don't remember, and I wrote most of the ones that I'm installing. They're basically pinging VS Code itself and telling it, hey, go and install this thing. And apparently something has changed with .NET somewhere, and it's popping out warnings on things, but it still worked. So if I open VS Code now, freshly installed, I'm not signed in to sync anything. We've got the PowerShell extension. We've got Markdown link and my themes. So the reason why I did packages for my most commonly used themes for VS Code is for exactly this, setting up a new machine exactly how I like it before even syncing my settings via the settings sync feature. So because I'm setting up my entire machine with Chocolatey effectively, I just chuck these in anyway just to speed things up a little bit. Now, supplying that list is all well and good. That's cool. What you can do is actually provide a list of a file that describes all of the packages that you want installed. So if I go and chuck this in here and hope it copies into the VM properly. You're not meant to already be there. Okay, copy and replace. So I've just dropped a, ooh, how do I do this in this? That'll do. So I've dropped a packages.config file into my user directory. And what I can do is, because I'm already in that directory, I can just point my Choco install at it. That's probably would have been quicker just to type that. That would probably. So you can see there's a whole list of things that are about to be installed. 7-zip, auto hotkey, Git, Chrome will pop up, Notepad++. That's working away there. And that's all come from this packages.config file. Yeah, sure, let's do it with VS Code. So at the moment, this file is XML. And it lists all of the packages that I want installed. You can generate this file yourself. So if you've got one machine and you want to make another machine the same, you can export your list of packages and take that file over to the new machine, run choco install packages.config, and it'll just work away and do it. And that's how I've started setting up some of my demo VMs. Obviously not this one, because the point of this one is the setup. And I wish this would hurry up a little bit because I want to show.
Got a quick question.
Yes.
While we're waiting for this to install, does
Mhm.
Choco have the ability to asynchronously install, or is it a synchronous process?
Ooh.
You could just run the process in the background.
Yeah, just run it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you just drop it into a job or whatever you want to do, it would tick away.
Yeah. Okay.
In fact, while it does that, I'm thinking of just opening up a new terminal, but I think it's going to get there pretty quick. And what I didn't know is that's going to install extra VS Code extensions, but that's all right. Okay, while that is taken away. So how you generate those lists is, in fact, let me drop into let's do it there. So if you just run Choco export, that'll be packages.config. You'll see exactly the same sort of file that we just saw. The difference is this is everything currently installed on this machine. Now, because sometimes versions are important, you can say version numbers. And what that's going to do is add the version information for each package as well. So like that example that I gave, if you need a specific version of Node.js, you would put the version number in your packages.config file that you're shipping off to the other machine so that you know that version gets installed on the other end. So what are the advantages / differences of Chocolatey over Ansible? They do different things. So if you're setting up a Windows machine, there's actually a Chocolatey module for Ansible that will allow you to leverage Chocolatey in your Ansible playbooks.
I think Chocolatey is more for package deployments. So essentially, it's more of it's just a package library where Ansible is just essentially is a configuration.
So you can leverage Chocolatey as part of your configuration, and then use Ansible to orchestrate that.
That's it.
Yeah.
Jordan, feel free to pop up.
No, well, what you said is good. Ansible's more on the orchestration side and it can drive tools like this.
Yes.
Choco's just awesome because of the fact that you just can bundle it all up and then have a single line to actually install it. So that's what makes it really amazing.
And Windows Package Manager story is just a shambles. Until Choco came along.
And yeah, so I've started doing more Ansible stuff recently. And yeah, leveraging the Chocolatey module has been a great help. Geez, I should have made this file a little bit shorter, shouldn't I? We did include version numbers, yes. So speaking of version numbers, while that is still going, I want to install an older version of 1Password. And I do technically have the version I want to install written down in my little cheat sheet, but I will go the exploratory way. So I've gone and found the package on the community website. I'll go to version history and I will choose a random old, doesn't actually matter which one I choose. So I'm going to go ahead and install 8.10 of 1Password. And things are still popping up everywhere because they're being installed and things are crazy at the moment. So while it's a command line tool, some installers still aren't 100% silent, and that's a real pain. So you'll see some really stubborn packages have auto hotkey. Are they auto hotkey? I believe they're auto hotkey scripts that handle the stuff for you. But the ideal is, of course, we manage to get a actually silent installer that just silently installs and you can trust to do what it needs to do. Oh, good. Read messages that are just info. That is excellent. So I've installed an old version of 1Password. And that one is finally finished too. So I'm going to jump back over to my lovely PowerShell preview and run Choco outdated. So Choco outdated will go and check the list of packages on your machine against your sources. So in this case, the community repo, and tell you what your version is and what the available version is. And it's this lovely text output, which is hard to do anything with. So what you can do with most Chocolatey commands is if you do -r, it's going to give you separated pipe delimited output, which then you can go and effectively treat like a CSV. So I'm going to copy and paste this in just so that you don't have to hear me typing. So if I have my output from Choco outdated, because I know what the each column is, so like I know the package name, current version, available version, I can convert from CSV, tell it what the delimiter is, in this case it's the pipe, and then give a header to each of my columns. Run that, and then I've got nice, sane PowerShell output. And that's just an object now that I can use as you would expect to use it in PowerShell, which is handy. So then you can go and send a toast notification if you pick up on things being old. Not to bang my toast notification drum too much. There was a question, how safe is it to use the public repository of packages? So we do as much as we can to keep it safe. So every package that goes up gets scanned via VirusTotal, and that includes downloading everything that so we effectively install the package and scan everything that it downloaded, including the package itself. So there's that. Every package goes through human moderation, so someone puts eyeballs on it. And we've got that hashing thing to make sure that the binaries haven't changed on us. That said, it is still a public and community maintained resource. So for businesses, the best practice is still to internalize and vet packages that you have put your own eyeballs on and can trust. And also paid customers can do additional scanning with their own in-house tools. The hashes. So the hashes are set in the package when they're pushed through to us. Then we download the file from the source, get that hash, and compare to make sure it's what we're expecting based on the package's metadata. Now, we are on the home straight. I've got my outdated package. I know that there's an update available for me. And it's not pinned, and we'll talk about pinning in a second. But if I just want to upgrade that file, I go Choco upgrade, the name, the ID of the package, and it goes off and does the upgrade. Should be nice and quick. And then once it's done, if we do Choco outdated again, we should see nothing unless something's being pushed through reasonably quickly. So going forward, if I want to update everything on my machine, in fact, let's go there. I can say, hey, go ahead and upgrade everything. So what I know some people do is they will run this as a scheduled task, either overnight or when they log in, to make sure all their random packages are up to date. And you can see it's listed all of my packages and told me that it's the latest version. Sweet. But what if I don't want something to update? And that's when pinning comes in. So I haven't gone and installed Node.js on here because that's the one that really makes sense. If I do want to pin something, not ping, so you go Choco pin. We're going to add a pin, so it's add name git. So I had a version of Git installed. I've pinned that version. So now Chocolatey, regardless of if I do Choco upgrade all or whatever, it's not going to upgrade Chocolatey. If another package takes a dependency on Git and that dependency is a higher version than what I have pinned, that upgrade also won't work. You don't need a license to set up an internal repo. You do need a license if you're internalizing using the tool called Package Internalizer. But we'll have a quick look at an option for an internal repo when we wrap up. So package management, we've done install, upgrade, searching and stuff. If we want to uninstall something, just make sure it's actually installed. So I've got putty there. If I go and say, I don't want putty anymore, so I can, just like an install, I can go and uninstall it. And has been successfully uninstalled. So now, fingers crossed it's not going to make a liar out of me. There we go, putty's not recognized. So now we've done the full install, upgrade, uninstall. Now, as much as I love the command line, sometimes it's nice to have a look at a GUI interface for things. And Chocolatey does have its own GUI interface called Chocolatey GUI. So if we go ahead and install that, there we go. And we run it. So by default, when Chocolatey GUI loads, it's going to show you a nice grid view of everything you've got installed. And you can see what's available at your other sources. So Chocolatey is community repo. It's going to go out and have a look. And we can see the actual console output that it's generating, which is nice. It's actually really handy when you're doing upgrades to watch the console output there. So I can see all of the packages on the community repo. Obviously, there's a lot of pages of things, but then I can go and do my search again. And you can install from here and all that jazz. It will flag outdated files as well, and then you can go and update. You can manage your pins from here. This looks really nice, but I prefer to switch over to the list view. And then it allows me to see things like I pinned Git. And if it's outdated, it'll have a red label and it's saying outdated, that sort of thing. And just like in the command prompt where you can upgrade all, there's a button up there to upgrade everything as well. That's bright at this hour of night. The app does have dark view, night view, but what I really like about the GUI is it lets you dive into the settings for Chocolatey and managing your sources. And we will see that very quickly.
I've got a quick question.
Yes.
So one of the guys in Twitch chat has asked, how complex would it be to create an internet accessible repository to provision line of business apps via Intune over the internet securely across multiple tenants? Pretty keen on trying this for a proof of concept.
So I would suggest getting in touch with our sales team, because we do have a new Intune integration to effectively help get packages bundled in whatever the weird Intune format is and getting them into Intune. As far as anything else, I mean, it's very easy to make an internet accessible repository. It's one of those things where you need to ask yourself, should you? And how are you going to keep it secure, especially if it's got your line of business apps hosted on it. All your normal caveats about chucking things on the internet apply.
What authentication options can you have with the public with your own private repo?
So username and password and certificate are the ones I know offhand.
You mean like X509 cert auth?
I don't know offhand.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah. Okay, really quick. So one of the things that happens when you're using the community repo is there is a rate limit on it. And I believe according to the docs, it's something like, in fact, let's just go look. Because I wouldn't want to misspeak. It is. All right. So installs of Chocolatey itself are limited to 5 installs a minute per IP address, and any other packages rate limited at 20. Naturally, you can see if you're doing like say a classroom of 30 PCs, and you've got a couple of apps and you want to upgrade them across all of that, you can see how you'd very quickly hit a rate limit of 20 packages a minute. Luckily, well, that does only result in a temporary 1-hour ban that does automatically clear. So if you hit it, just wait it out and it disappears. What I would suggest is actually, if you can, setting up a local caching repository. And you can point your clients at that. So I have pre-prepared in the oven a Nexus repository, the open source flavor, just running on my NAS around the corner there. And at the moment, it's got nothing set up. So let's sign in using super secure username and password on it, because it's going to be killed in about half an hour. If we go and create a new repository, so I've got nothing there at the moment. If I create one, Chocolatey is all NuGet, and we are going to want a NuGet proxy repository. And we give it a name. So for this, let's call it Zindo. Either of these NuGet protocol versions will technically work. But for now, Chocolatey is still using NuGet v2. So I recommend just setting it to that to be safe. And the remote storage is that URL that's in the docs, which I've linked to and will circulate. But it is just community.chocolatey.org/API/v2 and a trailing slash at the end, which generally only comes up if you're pushing packages to the repository. Everything else I'm going to leave the same. So leave at default because it's going to work for us here. Yeah. Now, just for the sake of demonstrating this, I do have anonymous access turned on, just so I don't have to worry about usernames and passwords and roles and all that stuff. Of course, if it's in your internal network and everything's locked down, that should be fine. But normal caveats apply. Don't expose anything to the internet that isn't password protected. Yeah, all of that sort of stuff. So we have our repository, and I have a URL for it. So I'm going to grab that. Now, I'm going to point my client at it. If I do Choco source, I'll see that I've got one source at the moment, and I need to make this just a touch bigger. There we go. So I've got one source at the moment. It's the Chocolatey community. And it's got a priority of 0. The priority specifies which source your client's going to look through different sources in. The lower number's better, except for 0. 0 basically means no priority, so do me last. So the quickest way, honestly, if Docker is going to meet your needs for it, to get Nexus up, the Docker images have been great, the official one. One of my colleagues, Stephen Valdinger, has a PowerShell module as well for configuring Nexus. So you can go and write scripts to automate it once it's up as well. Very handy. I believe that's called Nexus Shell. Sorry, I should also stop getting distracted. Did I copy the right thing out of there? So we're going to set a second source up pointing at my Nexus repository. So Choco source add. Let's call this just keep things uniform. So I've given it a name. That's what's going to show up here on the left. Then the actual source itself, which is the URL that we're hitting Nexus with. If I put my focus on the right thing. So -s for source, and the URL, that's just what I got from Nexus. Of course, if you've actually set Nexus up with a proper host name and that you'd be using their host name, I'm just using my internal IP address. And finally, we give it a priority. T. Why does that look wrong? Oh, and I'll set it to priority 1. What did I do wrong?
Just the T before the R.
Oh,
Yeah.
I knew it looked wrong. That looks better. See, I had a hunch that it was wrong. I just couldn't spot it. I'm going to blame the microphone arm.
I couldn't find my unmute button. Microsoft Teams, I couldn't find it quick enough.
So now if I look at my sources, I've got 2, and my Nexus repository is set to priority 1. Also, don't think there is a refresh button here. So if I open up the GUI again, go to settings, go to sources. Now I can see my new source in here. So 0 in this instance is the lowest. It effectively means no priority, so it's used last. And 1 is the highest priority. Tripped me up the first time because I expected 0 to be the highest priority, and no, no, it's not. Right, so now if I go and install something, now let's go install Putty again, since we just uninstalled it. What we should see I'm hoping that just worked. So because how the proxy repositories work is your client queries the proxy. If it has it, it will serve the package. And if it doesn't, it will go and talk to the community repo and it'll go, yeah, I've got that, here it is. And then future requests for that package will then be served from your Nexus repository. So if you've got 30 machines, the first one will end up reaching out to the community repo. Future requests will then be served from here. So the 29 other ones won't reach out, and then you won't get rate limited. It'll also cache metadata. So if you go and do a Choco upgrade all, it'll reach out for all of those packages and find out if there's a new version or not. And then Nexus will remember. Nexus will remember what those metadata answers were. So if another client goes and says, hey, I need to upgrade, Nexus, for however many hours is configured for the metadata cache, won't reach back out to the community. Because without that, you can end up sending a lot of traffic through to the community repo. Other than, in theory, you should be able to pre-populate it. Like, you can definitely migrate from one Nexus instance to another. The easiest thing, and what I've always done, has just been setting it up and letting it organically grow. Yeah. So I would say the first steps, of course, of using Chocolatey is just using it yourself. Choco install, Choco upgrade, Choco uninstall. When you start getting a feel for it and you want to use it in the organization, I'd say that's when you start going to at least doing a Nexus repository of some sort, just to help yourself avoid rate limiting. And then it also gives you a bit of resilience against any potential issues affecting the community repo as well. So that is everything I wanted to show. We've had some questions. Are there any more? Can you filter which? I don't think you can automatically. On a command by command basis, you can specify the source. So when you do that, if I specifically wanted to go to the community repo, I could say -s Chocolatey, and it would go to the Chocolatey repo, bypassing the Nexus. It will also flow through. So if it doesn't find it at one, it will try it at the next, try it at the next, try it at the next. Although that's not exactly filtering, but it would effectively get the job done. Oh, and if you're hosting your own packages, you would do a NuGet hosted repo, and then I would say almost say always, but most of the time, set your priority for that hosted repo above your
default.
Yeah.
With regards to having a private instance, is there a way to remove the public repo?
Yes. So once you've got, well, actually remove. Let's see. Yes.
There you go.
I believe. Let's test it. I believe you need to have at least one source.
Yep.
You do not need to have at least one source.
Yeah.
So why that works, now that I think about it, is because you can go and say, and just put the URL on the end of any command. So you technically don't need the source there configured. Yeah, already installed. Cool. Yes. You can also disable sources. So the default, I believe, once you've installed a license, well, there's a certain workflow that happens, and one of the defaults there is to disable the community repo as well. So yeah, there's ways of managing calls to different endpoints.
I've got another quick question. This is it's obviously it's not really just kind of stemmed off the back of this one. Is there any sort of the DSC resources that basically can do that? So essentially, you can configure your source within DSC, and then.
So we do have a CChoco DSC resource that I haven't looked at.
Yep.
I do know that the Ansible module does have a sorry, let me get the terminology right. The Ansible collection does have a module in there for managing your sources.
Okay.
And I imagine the DSC one would as well.
Yeah.
I did see a question in Teams. Are version checks rate limited? They're not, but then you could end up hitting the overall excessive use checks. So if overall, over a period of time, an IP address is seen to be hitting whatever the threshold is, I'm not sure what it is offhand, it is possible to trip a permanent ban, which then you can open a ticket and we can go and figure out why it's happening and work with you to get you unblocked again.
I'll just quickly throw it out to Twitch. Twitch chat, do you have any other further questions?
There was a question in Teams, is Nexus the only choice of cache server? So if I grab this and that, so the short answer is no. The long answer is, let me pull up that doc.
I think it's anything you could run a NuGet.
Effectively,
Really?
yes.
Yeah.
So we have a short list of hosting options. So there's things like Nexus 2 and 3, ProGet, Artifactory, MyGet, just straight NuGet server, even a file share if you really want to try doing that. Similar sort of caveats apply to that as trying to use a file share as your packet, as your PowerShell gallery.
Cool. I think I'm guessing there's no other questions. So, thank you, Josh. Thank you for presenting and obviously taking time out of your day. I know it's pretty late for you now.
Thank you for having me. Yes.
And you probably want to go to bed. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate you obviously taking the time and obviously also rescheduling
Yes.
that for which is really, really good. And if anyone else has any further questions, they can obviously tweet out to you at Windows and Z on Twitter. You can also hit him up on LinkedIn, and obviously if you've got any other questions, you can also reach out to them on the Chocolatey website. So you can just obviously go to chocolatey.com, and if you're also not you can also jump on the PowerShell Slack/Discord. A lot of the Choco guys hang out there as well. So you can definitely go there as well if you're part of that. And I will leave a link in the chat.
And when I've got the slides in my GitHub repo, I'll ping you, Michael.
Yep, no worries. And I will let everybody know.
Awesome.
Too easy. All right.
Just one final question that's popped up. Does it work on Mac and Linux? Obviously the package management itself doesn't. I think you can do package creation and pushing to a repo from Mac and Linux. I think. I may be confusing something else that works on Mac and Linux though. And yeah, of course, we didn't even get into maintaining packages because that's a whole other kettle of fish to get into.
I'm just going to paste up the links to the PowerShell Slack.
Awesome.
Sorry, I'm just doing Twitch first. So the PowerShell Slack/Discord is bridged, so you can just be on one or the other, and messages travel between the two. Obviously, if you joined, and the Twitch viewers, please, if you want to also join our Slack channel, you can also get involved there as well. I will post the link up now. Wayne, do you want to? Sorry, can I hand it off onto you for a sec, mate, so I can focus on this? Are you there? Yep, he's there. Cool.
Yeah, I'm here. Hey. I think we're pretty much wrapped up, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we're pretty much wrapped up now. So
thanks, Josh. I don't think we've got any more questions there, so feel free to stick around if you want to, or feel free to take off. I know it's late, so thanks so much for the talk. I found that really awesome, actually.
Yeah, no, thanks again for having me. I will duck out. I've got work in 5 hours, I think, at this point. So.
Of course.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
totally
thanks for your time.
understandable. Yeah.
Might have to chat sticky.
Josh.
Yeah.
Thanks,
looking a bit sick.
Thanks.
Thanks, mate. I'm just going to keep the stream going. I'm just going to try and find the Slack message for or the Slack link for the PowerShell Discord, and I'll also quickly put ours up as well.
Just let us know when you're not streaming anymore, Michael, and we can let people have other conversations if they want to.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, I'm just trying to figure out what the is. I actually don't know what it is. Oh. It used to work, and now it doesn't. Yeah, I think for the time being, I think it's just going to have to be Discord. I can't remember. I don't know what it is. So sorry, guys. So yeah. Anyway, leave that with me. I will post that on my Twitter, and yeah. So you should just follow me on Twitter, PowerShell Michael. Yes, in the next couple of days, I will tweet that out. Also, we'll be tweeting out the and obviously messaging the GitHub demo files once they're made available. So anyway, guys, thanks for joining, and I hope to see you guys next time. Anyway, bye for now.